Hey, Team Hot Mess. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. If you press play on this while feeling a little tired, a little behind, or with that quiet background thought of, I should be doing more, stay. Because this episode isn't here to motivate you, it's here to exhale with you. Today, I want to talk about something I've been unlearning for a while now. The idea that consistency means showing up the same way every single day, no matter what. Because for a long time, and maybe this is you too, I genuinely believe that if I just tried harder, stayed steadier, stayed quieter, I was stronger, eventually everything would feel easier. That one day I'd wake up and think, oh, this is it. Now I figured out how to be a functional human. Spoiler, didn't happen. I'm recording this from my living room, by the way. My studio isn't fully done yet. I'm still kind of moving. There are boxes around. There's unfinished stuff everywhere. And honestly, that feels symbolic because my life isn't done either right now. There are a lot of moving parts, especially around my grandpa. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not pretending everything is neatly contained while I talk to you. This episode sits right next to the one where I talk with Ami Dave about PMS and cycles. Ami is a pro. That conversation opened my eyes even more. But if that episode is a science and structure, this one is the human side, the messy side, the tired side, the side that still cares deeply but doesn't have infinite energy anymore. Because a lot of us are walking around believing we always need to try harder. So let me say this clearly before we go any further. This episode is for the tired ones, the ones who don't want to give up, but are exhausted from holding it all together. And if that made something in your chest soften a little, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. For most of my life, consistency meant intensity, daily, reliable, productive, emotionally regulated at all times. And if I couldn't keep that up, I assumed something was wrong with me, not with the system, not with the expectations, with me. I truly believed consistency meant grinding, working harder instead of smarter, being better than everyone else as if other people gave a shit. It felt like this invisible competition I was always running. No finish line, no medal, just exhaustion. And here's the thing that I didn't understand back then. That belief didn't come from ambition. It came from fear. Up until last year, I was tiptoeing around life, around people. Wrong relationships, wrong jobs, wrong clients. They intimidated me. They drained me. And weirdly enough, because of that, I needed them. Or at least I thought I did. So consistency became survival. I needed to be easy to deal with and emotionally stable and predictable and palatable because the moment I wasn't, the moment I went a little berserk, emotionally, creatively, or energetically, people were quick to tell me I was off or too much. And maybe you know that feeling too. The subtle pressure to stay contained, to not rock the boat, to be impressive, but not inconvenient. Here's the psychological part I really want you to hear. When consistency is driven by fear, it's not consistency. It's self-abandonment on a schedule. People will always try to fit you in their box, but that mold was made for them, not for you. You don't exist to shrink in someone else's comfort. And at some point, I had to admit something painful. I was consistent, but I was disconnected. And you can't build a life on that forever. My body was the first thing to rebel, and it didn't do it loudly at first. It whispered. There were weeks where everything felt louder, heavier, more emotional. My thoughts felt crowded, my surroundings overwhelming, my reactions sharper than I wanted them to be. And instead of listening, I tried to override it, especially around my cycle. During menstruation, I started noticing symptoms that honestly scared me. like my anxiety spikes, a lot of brain fog, huge emotional sensitivity, and migraines so heavy my head felt like it was splitting. And for the longest time, I treated these like personal failures, like something to push through. Meetings, push through. Social plans, push through. Work, definitely push through. Even household stuff, while my body was screaming for rest. All the while, my body was waving red flags, like the brain fog, the heavy migraines, and a deep, undeniable need to lie down. And I didn't. I kept going. And here's something I wish someone had told me earlier. Your body always keeps score. You can ignore it, but it doesn't forget. Every time I powered through, I paid for it later, emotionally, physically, or mentally. What I didn't understand back then was this: cycles aren't just hormonal, they're emotional, they are creative, they are relational. Your energy isn't meant to be flatlined. You are not a machine. You are not a brand. You're not a productivity metric. It wasn't inconsistency. It was a rhythm I hadn't learned how to respect yet. And maybe, just maybe, that's what's happening in your life too. The real shift happened when I stopped asking myself, why can't I be the same every day? And I started asking, what does today need from me? And that question sounds simple. It is not, because it requires honesty and self trust and letting go of who you think you should be. Consistency isn't sameness, it's staying in relationship with yourself, even when the tone changes. I started planning differently, moving meetings, giving myself permission to work with my body instead of against it, going to the office only when my brain would actually cooperate, microdosing, which is an adventure on itself, by the way, more yoga, and definitely less self punishment. And I also stopped treating rest like a failure. I learned about something I now call productive resting, not as avoidance, but using the rest as maintenance for myself, taking care of my body and taking care of my soul. Because here's the thing no one tells you. You can still care deeply without forcing output. You can choose rest so you can continue, not because you're quitting. You can protect your nervous system even when no one sees it. You can show up softly and still have a count. That's devotion too, just without all the self-betrayal. Compassion used to feel optional to me, like a bonus feature if everything else was done. Now I see it as a discipline. Compassion is regulated care. It's what keeps me from turning my emotions into a problem that I need to solve. For example, canceling plans. I used to be terrified people would judge me, but here's a huge insight I had recently, and I really want you to sit with this. If I can barely enjoy my own company, how can anyone else? That one landed hard for me. Or another one, like recording gently. There are days where I still record, but I don't perform. I don't hype my voice. I don't force clarity. And I just speak at the pace my body allows. And resting without justification. Last week, when I was on my period, I napped for 3 days straight. 3 days. Old me would have panicked. New me noticed what happened next. This week, I'm clearer, more productive, more grounded. In the past, I would have powered through and rewarded myself with bonus migraines, yay. And letting emotions exist without explanation, that doesn't mean going crazy. It means I let my soul be a bit more touched by life. And that kind of compassion, it didn't make me weaker. It made me steadier. And here's the surprising part. I became more consistent, not louder, not everywhere, but like present. My creativity came back. My body started trusting me again. My work stopped feeling like a performance and started feeling like an extension of who I actually am. And that that's sustainable. That's a life you don't have to recover from. So, if you've been telling yourself you're lazy or behind or failing, I want to offer you a different lens. Maybe you're not inconsistent. Maybe you're cyclical. And if someone popped into your head while listening to this, someone who's tired but still trying, send this to them. Not because they need fixing, but because they need permission. I'll leave you with this. What would change if you stopped asking more of yourself and started listening more deeply instead? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. This episode was brought to you by Vondo, a place for people who love unique things and the stories behind them. If that sounds like you, you'll find Vondo at vondo.com. That's VENDAUX.com.